Come get a taste. Rick, where'd you get a hand grenade?
I don't know.
Hey there, it's Nikki and welcome to an extra exciting new episode of RT Essentials. But Nikki, your episodes are always super exciting. Oh my God, thanks. I appreciate it so much. You flatter me. No, honestly, today is indeed special since we're going to be discussing films that feature ensemble casts, because the more the merrier, except when it comes to this show, in which I host it all by my lonesome. And also when it comes to orcs. Hold that thought. These films are like the all-star games of cinema, so much talent on display and more star power than a James Webb telescope image. Google that. Now before we do this, let's cover the ground rules. Rule number 1, by ensemble we meet a cast that contains 3 to 4 or more stars who share somewhat equal screen time and narrative importance. Rule number 2, no touching of the hair or face. And that's it. Now let's do this. These are epic ensemble casts. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Don't you let go! Don't let go! Breathe!
A monumental movie requires a monumental cast, and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King is as monumental as it gets. One does not simply walk into Mordor, not alone anyway. It takes a team consisting of wizards, hobbits, dwarves, humans, and elves. Director Peter Jackson was under a lot of pressure when casting the beloved characters of J.R.R. Tolkien's classics. Everyone knows how harsh book enthusiasts can be when it comes to film adaptations. And I am looking directly at you, Percy Jackson fans. At this point, it's safe to say that Jackson, Peter, not Percy, found the right players to bring Tolkien's work to life, creating something magical, something precious.
Then we will find it and take it for me. For us. Yes, we meant for us.
The cast of The Return of the King includes Elijah Wood, Sir Ian McKellen, Liv Tyler, Cate Blanchett, Viggo Mortensen, Andy Serkis, Orlando Bloom, and many others. As is the case with many of the other films on the list, every single one of these actors could be the main attraction of any other feature, but their combined powers are otherworldly. Elijah Wood plays Frodo Baggins, the most unlikely creature imaginable, a hobbit tasked with being the ring bearer, solely responsible for the fate of Middle-earth. Wood perfectly captured the character's sensitivity and innocence, and his dark transformation as the ring's power consumes him. Wood's performance is complemented by the natural grit of actors like Viggo Mortensen, who plays Aragorn, a chosen member of the Fellowship sworn to protect Frodo on his mission to destroy the ring. Not that there is one clear standout in this film, but Ian McKellen's portrayal of Gandalf the White Wizard, formerly Grey, deserves infinite praise. But as powerful as McKellen's Gandalf is, we mustn't forget that it's the small things, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keeps the darkness at bay. That, and hitting orcs over the head with a wizard's staff, that certainly helps too. The Grand Budapest Hotel.
How may we serve you, gentlemen? Inspector Hank.
By order of the Commissioner of Police, Subroka Province, I hereby place you under arrest for the murder of Madame Celine Villeneuve de Goffin-Taxis.
I knew there was something fishy. We never got the cause of death. She's been murdered. And you think I did it?
Wes Anderson is known for his quirky, star-studded cast, and the Grand Budapest Hotel is no exception. The film stars Ralph Fiennes, Adrian Brody, Saoirse Ronan, Tilda Swinton, Owen Wilson, Willem Dafoe, Jude Law, Jeff Goldblum, Jason Schwartzman, and many others. Not every director has the ability to attract such talent over and over again, but Anderson isn't your average director. He's an auteur. And there's a reason why you'll often hear people say, "That's so Wes Anderson of you," or say, "This is like a scene from a Wes Anderson movie." His films are known for their planimetric and symmetrical visual styles, their intricate set designs, and their bold colors. But let's be real, we come back for the characters.
Now, I don't want to alarm you, and I don't expect to see any significant change in the magistrate's ultimate decision vis-a-vis your own inheritance. But, especially given the circumstances of the death, as well as the disappearance of the key witness in the murder case, Serge X, I suggest that we immediately bring this matter to the attention of the municipal inspector so that there can be absolutely no question of impropriety at any future date. Agreed?
Not agreed.
Not agreed?
In-demand actors are often eager to work with Anderson and for the chance to portray one of his soon-to-be iconic characters. In fact, for the Grand Budapest Hotel, Anderson reportedly got his first choice for every role. Well, every role except one. Murder, She Wrote icon Angela Lansbury was slated to play the role of Madame D, the hotel's wealthy and mysterious owner, but she ended up having to drop out due to other commitments. So Anderson turned to previous collaborator Tilda Swinton. I cannot imagine it any other way. Swinton had to layer on pounds of makeup to achieve the look of the elder proprietor. For the role of Monsieur Gustave H., the hotel's esteemed concierge and the film's main protagonist, Anderson sought out actor Ralph Fiennes in an unconventional way. He emailed Fiennes letting him know he had written a script for him to read and asked Fiennes to let him know which part he liked. According to Anderson, this was a psychological game because the best way to get an actor to not want to be in your film is to offer him a specific part. Needless to say, the game worked and Fiennes agreed to the role. And he chose Gustav, of course. This was very Wes Anderson of you, Wes Anderson. Ocean's 11.
With Benedict, at the end of this, he better not know you're involved, not know your names or think you're dead because he'll kill you, and then he'll go to work on you.
That's why we had to be very careful, very precise, well-funded.
Yeah, you gotta be nuts too. And you're gonna need a crew as nuts as you are.
Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's 11 was a remake of the 1960 film of the same name that featured the Rat Pack. For all of you youngsters out there, the Rat Pack was a group of entertainers that starred in films and frequently performed in Las Vegas, the most notable members being Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and Dean Martin. Talk about an epic ensemble and big shoes to fill and tap dance for the cast members of this film. But I'd say between George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Andy Garcia, Don Cheadle, and Bernie Mac, they pretty much got by fine. It should be illegal to have that many really, really ridiculously good-looking people in one film. And they're all so good. It's annoying. Hey, speaking of Ben Stiller and Wes Anderson, Owen and Luke Wilson were also meant to join the cast of Ocean's 11, but the brothers had to pass in order to fulfill their commitments to the Royal Tenenbaums. It wasn't just them. Mark Wahlberg also had to pass in order to star in the Planet of the Apes remake. Such a shame. If only there had been another movie that Wahlberg and Damon could have starred in together. You know, two Boston heroes just Bostoning it up. If only. I wonder what that would have been like.
I'm afraid you're mistaken.
You're watching your monitors? Okay, keep watching.
This town, your luck can change just that quickly.
Find out how much money we have down there. Sure.
In Ocean's 11, Clooney plays Danny Ocean, who orchestrates the most sophisticated, elaborate casino heist in history. His sidekick is Rusty Ryan, played by Brad Pitt, and the two have an undeniable on-screen chemistry, though I have to wonder if they wasted time on set arguing over who's most handsome. Actually, it was Clooney who asked Pitt to join the cast, and now it's difficult to imagine anyone else playing Rusty with his insatiable appetite, eating or drinking something in almost every scene. It was Pitt's idea to give Rusty that character trait, saying that the Ocean's gang was on such a tight schedule, his character would have had to grab fast food wherever he could. Okay, Brad, we know you just like to eat in your movies. The Departed.
Well, what is this, a citizen's arrest? Blow me. All right, only one of us is a cop here, Bill. You understand that, Bill? No one knows who you are. Shut the f*** up! I'm a sergeant in the Massachusetts State Police. Who the f*** are you? I erased you.
You erased me, huh?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, shoot a cop, Einstein. Watch what happens.
Well, what happened is this bull would go right through your f***ing head!
Watch what happens!
Cue Dropkick Murphys, The Departed has shipped up our list of epic ensemble casts. The Scorsese film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Alec Baldwin, Vera Farmiga, Martin Sheen, a bunch of stolen microprocessors, and Mark Wahlberg. And you guessed it, here it comes, Matt Damon. DiCaprio plays Boston cop Billy Costigan, who goes undercover to infiltrate the organization of mobster Frank Costello, played by Jack Nicholson. Costello is based on the real-life Irish gangster Whitey Bulger, who infamously ran the Boston Winter Hill Gang, committing a series of crimes throughout the 60s and 70s. For those unfamiliar with Bulger, he was second only to Osama bin Laden on the FBI's most wanted list and was captured in 2011 after being on the run for 16 years. Rumor has it that Bulger snuck into a screening of The Departed while he was still a fugitive and was visibly disgusted by Nicholson's fictional version of himself. Sorry, Bulger, you're kind of on your own there, because critics and audiences unanimously praised Nicholson's performance. And I certainly don't want to make you mad, but it is the truth.
I got this rat, this gnawing, key-eating rat. And it brings up questions. You know, see, Bill, like, you're the new guy. Girlfriend. Why don't you stay in the bar that night I got your numbers?
Not to outshining, see what I did there, Nicholson, but Wahlberg's performance as Staff Sergeant Sean Dignam earned him critical praise and an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Additionally, Wahlberg, DiCaprio, Nicholson were all nominated at the Golden Globes, though none of them ended up winning. Acting accolades aside, when you put this much talent together, you get one of the greatest crime thrillers of all time. This was Scorsese's first and only win for Best Director. Isn't that wicked ridiculous? And it came at a price. Roughly 50% of the film's $90 million budget was spent on the actors' salaries. Hey, we said epic, not affordable. This is why we always see Leo in the south of France in the summertime. X-Men: Days of Future Past.
You really think this will work? I have faith in him. It's not him I'm worried about, it's us. We were young. We didn't know any better. We will now.
See you soon.
This might sting a little.
X-Men: Days of Future Past is the 5th installment in the X-Men film series and features a plethora of legendary characters that first appeared in Marvel Comics. Much like Jackson's Lord of the Rings adaptations, the filmmakers for X-Men had to be extra careful when casting such adored characters. You don't want the true believers coming after you, although they're not quite as unforgiving as leaguers. Cast wisely, my friends, cast wisely. Days of Future Past starred Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy as Professor X, Michael Fassbender and Ian McKellen as Magneto, Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, Halle Berry as Storm, Peter Dinklage as Dr. Bolivar Trask, and far too many others to list.
Azazel, Emma, Banshee,
Mutant brothers and sisters, all dead.
Countless others experimented on, butchered.
Eric,
where were you, Charles? We were supposed to protect them. Where were you when your own people needed you?
If you haven't seen the film, you're probably wondering why there are multiple actors playing the same character. That's because the plot of Days of Future Past involves Wolverine going back in time and rallying the X-Men of the past to help change a pivotal moment in history and thereby save the future. Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen were performing in a production of Waiting for Godot when they were asked to reprise their roles as Professor X and Magneto. That's a lot of Sir power for one Broadway play, sirs. Neither of the knights expected this and were certain that the roles had been permanently taken over by McAvoy and Fassbender, but it was a much welcome surprise for the actors, and there ended up being undeniable camaraderie between the older and younger generations. One might even say their performances were magnetic. Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah, I stabbed a man in the heart.
I don't know how to put this, but the next Ensemble cast is kind of a big deal. People know them, they're very important, but seriously, they are. Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy was directed by Adam McKay and stars Will Ferrell, Christina Applegate, Paul Rudd, Steve Carell, Fred Willard, and David Kochner. Each of these actors are comedy giants, and this film is an absolute riot from start to finish. There is literally a riot, too, at one point. More on that in a sec. Applegate plays Veronica Corningstone, a talented female journalist in the male-dominated world of 1970s broadcast news. Corningstone starts to outshine Burgundy, Farrell, on air, and a bitter feud ensues, resulting in the downfall of Burgundy's career.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
And thanks for stopping by.
But mainly, stay classy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy, I'm Ron Burgundy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy. Ron Burgundy.
Applegate and Farrell have a hilarious chemistry, constantly throwing jabs at one another and flashing their comedic chops. In addition to starring, Farrell co-wrote the Anchorman screenplay with McKay, and the two had originally envisioned a much different cast, the likes of which included Dan Aykroyd and John C. Reilly. Stiller was originally envisioned for the part of ladies' man Brian Fantano, which ended up going to Rudd. But Stiller did still star in the movie after all, in one of the funniest scenes in any movie ever, the news team fight. Also featured in this iconic battle, Vince Vaughn, Luke Wilson, and Tim Robbins. Don't act like you're not impressed. Magnolia.
I want the information. That's what I want. What did he say? Because I am not going to take care of him. What does he want? Did he say? Did he say what?
What the do you want me to do? I need you to listen.
What I want you to do, Janet, is I want you to do your f***ing job.
I am doing my f***ing job, Frank. You f***ing get on the phone.
Acclaimed filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson took inspiration from the music of Amy Mann when he wrote Magnolia. The film consists of multiple plots and characters from all walks of life. There's a dying father, a young wife, a famous lost son, a police officer in love, a game show host, a boy genius, and an estranged daughter, all of them interrelated in some way. When Anderson started working on the script, he had specific actors in mind that he would write for and envisioned certain sequences and images that feature said actors. One of the first images that came to him was the face of actress Melora Walters, followed by an image of her father, played by Philip Baker Hall, both of whom ended up starring in the film.
I'm sort of giving away the answer here, but it's Chopin. I don't mean to give away the answer. It's just, please just, sing us a ditty, guys, a Chopin ditty. Let's have a Chopin ditty. I can't.
Go to the card. Go to the card. Go to the card.
Anderson has always been a visionary, so it's not surprising that actors were eager to work with him. And in addition to Walters and Hall, this ensemble cast included Tom Cruise, Melinda Dillon, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Ricky Jay, Julianne Moore, Alfred Molina, John C. Reilly, William H. Macy, and several others. And a bunch of frogs, by the way. I didn't forget that scene. Terrified of frogs. Cruise had become a fan of Anderson after seeing his previous film, Boogie Nights, and asked the director to keep in mind for future roles. When Anderson finished the Magnolia script, he sent it to Cruise, who eventually agreed to the part. And I'm sure he's glad he did, because the role earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor and a win in the same category at the Golden Globes. The Dark Knight.
Come on, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Come on. Come on, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Come on, hit me. Come on, hit me. Come on, hit me. Hit me.
Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight was the sequel to Batman Begins and starred Christian Bale as Batman, Sir Michael Caine as Alfred Pennyworth, Heath Ledger as the Joker, Gary Oldman as Gotham police officer James Gordon, Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel Dawes, and Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. It goes without saying, but Bale almost never misses, and his portrayal of Batman is certainly a fan favorite. Also, Sir Michael Caine he's Sir Michael Caine, but it was Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker that still stole the show. Now, I'm not one to play favorites, but the late actor delivered a truly haunting performance, one that made this film's Joker one of the greatest villains in any superhero release to date.
What does Harvey know about you and his little bully?
Where are they?
Killing is making a choice.
Where are they?
Choose between one life or the other. Your friend, the district attorney, or his blushing bride to be. You have Nothing to threaten me with. Nothing to do with all your strength.
Ledger's Joker was the perfect rival to Bale's Batman, two of the all-time greats, hero and villain, pushing themselves to the brink both physically and emotionally for their roles. Nolan was very aware that there would be comparisons between Jack Nicholson's popular Joker portrayal and that of Ledger's, and many believed Ledger wasn't even a right fit for the part. But Nolan did not budge, and although Ledger was originally reluctant, he admitted that he had found the challenge exciting. For his portrayal, Ledger won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor posthumously. Pulp Fiction.
We should have shotguns with this kind of deal.
How many up there?
3 or 4.
That's counting our guy?
Not sure.
So that means it could be up to 5 guys up there?
It's possible.
We should have shotguns.
Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction became an instant classic, with many now considering it to be a masterpiece. Tarantino has always possessed an ability to surround himself with serious talent and create character-driven films that cement themselves in pop culture. Considering this was only Tarantino's second film ever, a fact that is hard to process, it's that much more impressive that he was able to round up this cast, which included John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Bruce Willis, Tim Roth, Ving Rhames, and many others.
I'm here to help. If my help's not appreciated, lots of luck, gentlemen.
No, Mr. Wolf. It ain't like that. Your help is definitely appreciated.
Mr. Wolf, listen. I don't mean disrespect, okay? I respect you. I just don't like people barking orders at me, that's all.
If I'm curt with you, it's because time is a factor. I think fast, I talk fast, and I need you guys to act fast if you want to get out of this. So, pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the car.
If for some reason you're unsure of what makes this cast so special, look no further than the scene where Mia Wallace and Vincent Vega, Thurman and Travolta go out for a bite to eat and end up doing the twist during an impromptu dance competition. I'm sure you've witnessed at least one couple recreating this scene at every Halloween party since the film's release, and a few hosts. Understandably so, it's that iconic. Furthermore, Pulp Fiction was largely responsible for breathing new life into Travolta's career, which had been on the decline. Good for Danny Zuko. Just gonna gloss over that whole Battlefield Earth situation. Avengers Endgame.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Last but certainly not least is Avengers Endgame. Any Avengers film or superhero film really is bound to have an epic ensemble cast, but this one had to be particularly epic. I mean, we're talking about the final showdown with Thanos. You know, the evil demigod who decimated the planet and most of the universe with a snap of his fingers. Obviously, they had to call in the big guns. Drum roll, please. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Don Cheadle, Jeremy Renner, Paul Rudd, Brie Larson, Jon Favreau, Karen Gillan, Benedict Wong, Bradley Cooper, Gwyneth Paltrow, and of course, Josh Brolin as Mr. Blip himself, Thanos. It's like the Avengers of actors.
I thought by eliminating half of life, the other half would thrive. But you've shown me that's impossible. And as long as there are those that remember what was, there will always be those that are unable to accept what can be.
Not too shocking to hear that Endgame was one of the most expensive films ever made, but also became the highest grossing film of all time, for a few years anyway, so there's that. There are way too many outstanding actors in the film to focus on just one, but according to co-director Joe Russo, Robert Downey Jr., aka Iron Man, might have been the only one to read the entire script, so I think he deserves a shout out for just that. Well, that concludes our list of epic ensemble casts. As is always the case, we didn't have time to cover every worthy ensemble ever to hit the big screen, but there are plenty of new episodes of RT Essentials coming your way, so I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Nikki Novak. Farewell, my brave cinephiles. My work is now finished. Here at last, on the shores of the sea, comes the end of our episode.